Stuff. There's lots of it. Some may be in a drawer, some you may be wearing, and some make up delicious slices of pizza for us to devour. Whatever form stuff comes in, there's one thing for certain. Stuff is made from units of matter called atoms. And atoms essentially glue together again and again so that we have the stuff we're talking about. Atoms are inherently organized by using the periodic table. And every element on their own is one atom. You may be familiar with a few of them, like oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. You may even be familiar when they start to glue together to form things like H2O or water. In this episode, we're going in depth to talk about the chemical basis of life. This will have a considerable amount of chemistry in it, but I promise to try to make it as digestible as possible because I know this can be a scary topic for a lot of us. But we're going step by step. So let's get going and start off with elements. Elements found on the periodic table all have the same stuff in them, but in varying amounts. It's like mixing flour, sugar, and butter together in various recipes. Whether you want pancakes or muffins, you're going to be using a different ratio. With atoms, we have 3 subparts to them known as protons, neutrons, and electrons. Depending on how many of each there are, elements gain different characteristics. This means they can have an affinity for gluing together with another atom or being antisocial in their own corner because they don't want to be messed with. Ultimately, when elements glue together, they become molecules or compounds. The main difference here is just if that extra element happens to be the same or different. For example, if oxygen bonded with another oxygen, that would be a molecule, but if oxygen bonded with, let's say, hydrogen, then that would be a compound. And from here on out, I'm going to start using the word bond in replacement of glue, just so we can be a little bit more scientifically accurate. But anytime I say bond, just think glue. So anyway, there are lots of ways that atoms can bond together, including through ionic bonds, covalent bonds, and hydrogen bonds. Each of these types of bonds have their own goals for the atoms and how they want them to interact. And that really all does stem back to the 3 parts or the 3 subparts that make up the atom and give it its kind of personality. Specifically, hydrogen bonds are very important in nature because of their many biological significant molecules. And this is a bond type we'll see pop up again and again because it is so beneficial to living organisms. pH is another one of those things that we have to analyze in order to see how it affects other organisms. For example, pH means that something can be either acidic or alkaline. We can also say basic in replacement of alkaline, but it's set on a scale. At the lowest, you have your most acidic things, and at your highest, you have your most basic things. This can have an effect on organisms at the atomic level, so at that smallest part, but can ultimately be seen in the higher orders as well. For plants, this means that if the soil is alkaline or acidic, it may or may not grow in that specific environment. It may affect the biomass where we have not as many leaves being produced, the stem is not as strong, the roots don't go as deep, or it could have the complete opposite effect where it just makes it blossom. We really have to know whether or not a plant likes acidity or likes alkalinity to be able to put it in its given environment. Ultimately, we have to go back down to the cellular level that makes up these plants because we want an overall neutral environment to maintain stability, so chemical reactions vital to life can take place. The next part to this has a bit more of a physics overtone to it, but it all has to do with energy. Overall, energy is just the capacity to produce a change or do work. And overall, energy is required for things like growth, reproduction, movement, repair, and other activities of living things. Now, how energy flows through a system, including in a plant, has to follow the first law of thermodynamics, which basically says that we cannot create or destroy energy. It can only go from one form to another. Second law of thermodynamics is also about the flow of energy, saying that we will never go to a higher energy state. We will always travel in the lowest energy state possible. For example, if you had, let's say, a cup of coffee in your hand, the heat from your hand is not going to go into the coffee. It's going to go from the coffee into your hand. The second law is also important when we talk about processes that harness and release energy in living organisms. including with photosynthesis and cellular respiration, which we will go more in depth in a different video. But for right now, we're going to explore more of the first law of thermodynamics, also known as the law of conservation of energy, so that we can get a little bit more understanding about how energy truly flows through various systems in nature. All forms of energy fall under two categories, either potential, which is a stored energy, or kinetic, which is the true energy of motion. Potential energy forms include things like chemical, nuclear, gravitational, or stored mechanical energy, whereas kinetic energy forms could be radiant, thermal, true mechanical, sound, or electrical. The main energy transformation in plants is photosynthesis. Simply put, photosynthesis is light energy from the sun being converted into chemical energy for the plant. This chemical energy is glucose, which ultimately leads to the plant growing. Outside of plants, energy conversions happen in you every day as well. Think of when you eat food and then go for a run. That is chemical energy in food leading to mechanical energy like running. Non-living things can also have energy conversions. Think, for example, the device that you're watching this video on. That is some type of electricity or electrical energy being converted into light and sound. It's important to be able to identify energy transformations, especially in nature. Because the moment that we alter our environment to where the energy transformation can't be completed, we may be leading to an extinction of some type of plant organism or animal organism. So there you have it, the chemical basis of life. In our next video, we're going to talk more in depth about macromolecules and how they affect living organisms, namely our plants. But like always, we're going to end with 2 discussion questions, and I encourage you to write your responses and respond to other people so that we can all grow in our science knowledge together. Until next time, happy sciencing, everyone. Bye! Our first discussion question says, how does transformations of energy relate to our atoms, molecules, and compounds? Our second discussion question says, could changing the soil's pH, acidity, or alkalinity have drastic effects on the growth of plants? Why?